Friends, today we will take a short interesting walk here in Dubai. Walk through the historical quarter of Al Fahidi. Let us get acquainted with the history, culture and architectural traditions of Dubai. And to get acquainted with the history of this place, it is enough just to walk around this quarter, which stretches here along an interesting historical bay. In this part of the city, various architectural examples typical of the city of Dubai in the mid-19th century are perfectly preserved. So I invite you for a walk. Let us follow along with us. Today we are in the restored old city of the Emirate of Dubai. His name is Al Fahidi. This place is located in the United Arab Emirates. In every modern city, among skyscrapers and noisy streets, there is a hidden historical part that tells about the life of people in the past. Such places allow us to walk around the ancient quarters and at the same time learn the history of the city, get acquainted with the cultural heritage. There are several similar historical sites in Dubai and they are all of equal value. The Al Fahidi Historic District introduces travelers to the traditional way of life that prevailed in Dubai from the mid-19th century to the mid-1970s. In addition to architectural buildings, models of merchant boats and boats of pearl divers, a popular profession in the United Arab Emirates, are interesting. The area is located along the Dubai Creek, dividing the historical part of the city into two parts. This is such an interesting sea arm, which has a natural origin and length along the Persian Gulf for 14 kilometers into Dubai. Of course, it is pleasant to walk along the long coastline here at any time of the day. A huge plus of Al Fahidi is the almost complete absence of tourists, or their minimum number. Looking around at the open-air museum, we mentally drew pictures from the past, imagined traditional life in Dubai before the oil began to be produced here. This is a real city within a city, with its streets, residential buildings, household buildings, utensils. Particularly impressive are the details, such as the wooden doors. Just look at the extraordinary carving and texture here. The architecture is typical for Dubai at that time. Many buildings are made of stone, gypsum, reeds, palm fronds and rare woods, such as teak, sandalwood. The design of the buildings reflects the wealth of values and unique culture of the Arab people. It is hard to believe, but modern and futuristic Dubai had a population of about 1,000 people in 1883 alone. Now there are more than 3 million inhabitants in the emirate. In the old city, I managed to feel the tart aroma of the history and culture of the Emirates. All those narrow streets where merchants walked. Families living in beautiful houses with wooden shutters. Everything is done very neatly and organically fits into the modern look. The quarter mainly contains museums, exhibitions and galleries that acquaint tourists with the culture, traditions and way of life of the country. Entering the coffee shop, you will find yourself in the Museum of Arab Daggers, and from the old courtyard you will get to the Museum of Coins or Postage Stamps. Coffee in Arab countries is loved no less than tea. An example of this is a lovely traditional coffee shop in the area. Over a cup of strong coffee, you can get acquainted with the exhibition of daggers and ancient Arabic teapots. A very interesting idea, a coffee shop and an exhibition hall in one. It seems to be a remake, but how interesting everything is thought out. Since this is a historical area, but which just a few years ago did not exist, everything is designed for tourists. Surprisingly, merchants here do not rush at passers-by, as in a typical Oriental bazaar. Of the real buildings of that time, only a piece of the fortress wall has been preserved, which we will still reach. Many souvenir shops, spice shops and traditional perfumes. I like this authentic atmosphere of the old town. The calm and cozy atmosphere of the shady courtyard and the singing of birds surrounded by the historic district will induce calm thoughts and actions. And in general, there are many cozy places where you can have a great rest. Houses with a patio and access to the roof are noteworthy in the area. Some have survived to this day, and some have been equipped as a cafe. The more this place is interesting because it is full of narrow hidden streets, but which tourists do not go. Bastakaya or Al-Fahidi is the restored oldest historical district of the city with many narrow streets and several dozen old houses built in the 19th century by Iranian merchants. They are considered the hallmark of this place. The area is located between the Dubai Creek Embankment, Musalla Street and the Al-Fahidi Fort Museum. The place is recognized as the ancient cultural and historical center of Dubai. The colorful district of Dubai got its name from the name of the native places of Iranian immigrants. At one time it miraculously survived during the construction of the city. In the houses of Bastakaya you can find a huge number of different shops, art galleries, museums and restaurants. Behind part of the ancient walls there is a comfortable modern housing. There are also traditional wind towers that are placed above the house and catch the wind, and then direct it down into the rooms. Visitors appreciate the place for the ancient architecture of buildings decorated with wood and gypsum and erected in the traditional Arabic style, and a walk through noisy courtyards and a labyrinth of winding alleys will be remembered by tourists for a long time. The highlight of the old quarter is the bright contrast between the spirit of the past and the present. Right behind the ancient houses and narrow streets you can see the ultra-modern skyscrapers of the city towering in the background. Now Bastakaya is the most visited tourist route. Despite high land prices, new restaurants, hotels, museums and shops open regularly. The place is especially beautiful in the evening. In the dark, all the buildings are spectacularly illuminated. The territory of the district often becomes a venue for various open-air festivals and holidays. Let us talk about the history of this area. Most of the buildings that rise in the area were erected in the 19th century, and the history of Bastakaya dates back to the settlement of the streets by merchants and pearl divers from Persia, who began to build here for their families not distinguished by luxury, but strong houses. The main materials chosen for the construction were clay, lime, palm branches and shell rock, mined nearby. Due to the existing weather conditions, it was necessary to think over the ventilation device. For this reason the area was replenished with the first wind towers to cool the houses. The district owes its name to the Iranian city of Bastak. In its best years, the area boasted over 60 large dwellings that were home to wealthy families. But with the advent of the oil boom in the mid-20th century, the bulk of the families moved to new houses in more comfortable areas, and poor migrants took their place, which as a result led to the decline of this part of Dubai.
Вечером, когда здесь включается подсветка.
The 1980s are marked as a turning point for the region. Then Bastakaya could be completely destroyed at the request of the authorities, and a business center and a modern residential quarter were to grow on the site of the demolished houses. But ordinary citizens came out in defense of the historical buildings. Local architects were also against the demolition, but the end point in the dispute was the intervention of the British Prince Charles, who arrived in the city at the request of the architect Rainer Otter. It was thanks to him that the Dubai government refused to demolish architectural monuments. Already in the 1990s, the quarter was purchased from local residents and restored. The renewal of the area has led to the emergence of restaurants, coffee houses, hotels, and other public institutions. The architecture of the area is amazing. Most of the buildings in the area were built in the traditional Arabic style. The typical structure is quadrangular in shape and boasts a patio in the middle. The rooms inside the house are connected to each other in a circle. This allows good air circulation, which is an important point for a hot country. The dwellings of the poor were called baristis, and palm trees were used for their construction. One of the symbols of the United Arab Emirates, which is extremely common here, is the elegant bargeal wind towers, which are found in almost every home. The more such towers a dwelling had, the more prosperous the family that lived in it was considered. They allowed air conditioning in houses during the warm season long before the creation of air conditioners. They also had a pair of crossed partitions that caught any gust of wind and sent it down the shaft, where it cooled and filled the room with a pleasant chill. The towers are equipped with protruding wooden beams. They used to hang wet fabrics to further freshen the air. Most of the rooms in Bastakaya's houses face the courtyard. The same goes for the windows. This is done for the free movement of women in an unclothed form, so no one can see them from the outside. Only the guest rooms on the lower floors have windows facing the street. They are always kept open. This is part of the Arab hospitality. The sights of Bastakaya are surprisingly numerous. There is something to see here.
Иди сюда.
Жри. Ой, упала.
Смотри, у нее проблема на ноге, короста какая-то.
Опа. Так, мамка уронила. Нет, не дам. Моё. Мать, ну что такое?
The most attractive in the Bastakaya area are the houses, each of which has its own patio for the whole family to relax. To protect the secrets of personal and family life, windows are covered with shutters made of wood with slots. They let light into the rooms of the house and at the same time do not allow strangers to look inside. Between the houses there are narrow streets, which can only be traveled on foot.
Середина 19-го. Здесь лучше? Веди тогда ты. Веди тогда ты. Говори, куда идти. Направо? Там мечеть где?
Hundreds of years ago, merchants with goods on carts walked along these streets. You can climb on the roofs of most houses in order to admire the area. The residents of the area are hospitable and will quite allow you to do this. Bastakaya is known not only for its old residential buildings, there are many public and entertainment venues. The place is a beautiful and peaceful contrast to the often bustling and colorful hotel street of Jumeirah. The main attraction of the old district is the Fahidi Fort, built in the 18th century. In those days, it was the residence for the local sheikh and the center of the whole country, which served to make military, economic and other government decisions. At the moment, the National Museum of Dubai operates within its walls. where tourists can get acquainted with ancient exhibits that tell about the emergence and development of Dubai. Well, in the meantime, we went to the old wall of this city. This is the old Dubai Wall. The city walls are one of the outstanding architectural features of the urban context. Old cities. These walls surrounded cities to protect them from external attacks. Throughout history, there has been many examples of walls that played an important role in protecting cities like the walls of Cairo, Damascus, and Baghdad. In the past, Dubai had two such walls that defined the city's skyline. The oldest of these was built in Bur Dubai around the 18th century AD. The wall surrounded the old city, which included Fahidi Fort, which I have already managed to tell a little about. It is to this former fort, which is also a museum, that we are going now. This wall surrounded residential buildings, captured the Grand Mosque. The second wall of Dubai was built in Deira side in the 50s of the 19th century. The Bur Dubai wall at which we are standing was built using coral stones and gypsum. It was 50 centimeters thick, about 600 meters long and 2.5 meters high. At the beginning of the 20th century, the wall was demolished to adapt the environment to the expansion of the city. The only surviving evidence of the existence of this wall is part of the foundation in which it was laid. It was researched and restored in 2001 along with these historic buildings. Those who prefer thematic expositions should look into the Museum of the History of Coins, located here, or the Coffee Museum. The Sheikh Mohammed Cultural Center is especially popular, introducing representatives of other religions to Islam and its traditions, as well as arranging Arabic-style breakfasts and lunches. At the other end of the district, you can admire the remains of the fortress wall. Art connoisseurs will love the art galleries of the area, among them the first art gallery in the UAE Majlis Gallery, the owner of which has been living here for the past 20 years and is well versed in art issues, and also the XVA galleries stand out. You can also recommend to view the first office building of the city of Beit al-Wahil. The art cafe is also interesting, where travelers can taste a variety of delicious salads and drink refreshing mint and lime juice, while the Lebanese restaurant Bastakaya Nights, which attracts with its special atmosphere, is suitable for a leisurely rest at massive wooden tables. The area is also famous for its ancient market, which is a real Oriental bazaar where travelers can buy traditional Arabic goods such as fabrics, jewelry, spices, and much more. What we did here.
Он, наверное, разваливаться начал, поэтому его подзакрыли. Вон, смотри, на его территорию можно зайти.
A walk around the area will sooner or later lead tourists to the previously mentioned fort. Al Fahidi. I have spoken about it many times before. Today, yesterday's fortress in downtown Dubai is a museum. But the museum is closed for technical reasons. The museum is known as the Dubai Museum. The first fortifications in this place of the city were erected in 1799. Al Fahidi Fort in its current form was built near the coast of the Persian Gulf between Ali bin Talib and Al Fahidi Road in 1878 and is currently the oldest surviving architectural building in Dubai. In the past, Al Fahidi served both to protect the city from attacks and as a state prison.
И кружились постоянно.
Rashid ibn Maktoum, the famous 18th century Sheikh of Dubai, were imprisoned here before being sent into exile. These sons will try to overthrow their uncle, Emir of Dubai Maktoum ibn Hashir, from the throne after the death of their father. The fortress is built of clay, coral and shell rock, fastened with lime, and has the shape of a square. Thick, high walls protect a large courtyard. The fortress has two towers, a higher, round shape, and located from the first in the opposite, diagonal direction, flatter and lower. After the liberation of Dubai from the colonial power of Great Britain on December 2, 1971, the ruling Emir of Dubai, Sheikh Rashid ibn Said Al Maktoum, carried out restoration work in this, by that time, badly damaged fortress and ordered the opening of a museum in it. In 1987, after the threat of collapse arose in some places of the Al Fahidi fortress, the museum was placed in underground premises.
Я might as well.
Well, perhaps that's all. We got such a quick express tour. Thanks for watching up to this point. Well, I recommend that you watch other videos about Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, Russia, Georgia, Belarus on this channel. There is a lot of historical overtones. I think you'll like it. Subscribe to the channel in advance, press the bell and do not miss new releases. Also, if you have the opportunity, you can make a small donation so that the releases are even brighter and more saturated. To do this, just make a translation according to the screenshot on the video, or use the links in the description under this video. Keep you from adversity. And we'll see you in future episodes.
Я и говорю.
Don T. Skip.